call at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're having a heart attack or if your house is on fire, you're probably going to call 911. Most people call 911 in any type of emergency because that's what they're there for. They're emergency response teams. And emergency response teams are very important, and they save millions of lives every year. The reason I'm giving this speech is so that hopefully you'll learn that emergency response teams are very effective and needed throughout life, and you should know how important they are. Emergency response teams are typically effective in helping victims. They help they're a calming presence. They help with severe medical conditions, and with their fast response times, they help with burning buildings and burning property and when people are in danger. I'm at Texas A&M. I'm on emergency care team, and that emergency care team is a student-led organization where we are first responders at events, football games, basketball games, soccer games, any type of sporting event or any event that's held on campus that has lots of people. We tend to get called to come and help work the event because we're first responders. We're all EMT basics or higher, or are trying to get our EMT basics so that we can be better first responders. We take lots of training to do this, and so that we can be more efficient and effective when helping people. To go with being a calming presence, when we work events, one event that I worked one time was at a football game. There was an elderly lady who started having a panic attack. And so when people start freaking out, calling for help, calling 911, they're very distressed, they're very upset. So the mood is very tense and everyone is very upset because somebody needs help, and most of the time it's their loved one. So this lady was having a panic attack. They called care team over, we got over there, and we immediately put her on oxygen and started calming her down, which for panic attacks is the only thing you can really do is assure them that they're okay and whatever was causing it is gone. So we put her on oxygen and started calming her down, and within minutes she was fine. And all the people that are around who called for care team and who called 911 or freaking out were also calm, because one lady even said, "Oh good, help has arrived," and you could hear in her voice that she was relieved, and that we had a calming presence with them because they knew help was there, somebody that could do something had shown up. And so first responders all over the place who, when they first respond, it is a very calming presence and it is very good. And according to counseling.com or counseling.org, their quote on there was that the goal is to try to resolve the day-to-day issues that have been disrupted and to help victims as much as possible and reestablishing a sense of safety, normality, and predictability. So with them being there, it calms everybody and the situation automatically can get better. And even with this panic attack, it resolved the whole thing once we arrived because help was there. My second point was that for some certain medical conditions, like time is sensitive to those medical conditions. Heart attacks, strokes, and severe bleeding are all three major issues that time is super sensitive when dealing with those. According to the American Heart Association, for every minute that passes without a defibrillation, survival rates decrease as much as 10%. So if someone starts to have a heart attack, for every minute that someone's not there starting CPR, that's like 10% on there that they won't make it through their heart attack. They also say that 88% of cardiac arrests happen at the house. So first responders are the people that get there first and start the CPR to help save the person's life. Studies have also shown that first responder programs and police officers have shown survival rates have greatly increased when CPR is provided immediately and when defibrillation occurs within 3 to 5 minutes of collapse. According to Google, most firefighter and EMT groups will respond and get there within that 3 to 5 minutes, which then greatly saves their lives. In Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, a 46-year-old man was having a heart attack when his wife called 911. The responders got there, and this was a quote from her that she said, "I know he was lost in his life and that they brought him back with the paddles and the CPR, and that's what saved him." So even she agrees that because of their fast reaction, that's why her husband was saved. And that just happened this past April. These are all recent events. And also, the third point was with emergency responders being able to respond so quickly, they don't only save lives, they also save property. When stuff starts to burn, since firefighters are considered to be emergency responders, fires, not only take lives, but they also take like homes and possessions and family heirlooms that people will never get back. And so, first responders, if they get there in time, they can put the fire out and save most of, what people, count as their possessions in their home. And it's much more than physical, but it's also mental for them. And so when firefighters get to a burning situation, of course, their first priority is saving, human lives, and then next would be saving their property, because along with physical, it's also mental. And so a study showed that in Anderson, Indiana, that the fire chief was had stated in June that he was very excited that his team had done such a great job that he quoted that the fire was extinguished within 5 minutes of the firefighters' arrival. And Chief Hutchinson also commented that commended his crew for their quick response. So that's just one instance, just this past June, that in Anderson, that they saved this home. It only burned, if you read the story, it only burned his basement. Nobody was home. The neighbors saw smoke coming out of one of the windows. Since the first responders' fast reaction, they got there in time that they saved this whole guy's house. He wasn't even home to know that he would have lost his house or any of his belongings. So thankfully nobody was in the house, but even then, the first responders got there with such time efficiency that they saved his house. So they saved everything in it. His personal belongings, his photos, they saved everything. And so, excuse me. So as we've learned right now that first responders are very efficient and very needed throughout our day-to-day lives. There are millions and millions of calls that go to first responders every day. Volunteer fire departments are called upon every day. I'm part of the Brazos County Fire Department, volunteer fire department, and I know my pager goes off at least 2 or 3 times a day for just the Brazos County alone. And that's not even as many people as the Dallas area or even bigger cities like in New York and everything. So 911 and first responders get called upon all the time, and all the time they make it there on time. True, it's not a perfect plan. Of course, some lives are lost, but majority of them are saved by the first responders who respond in time to save them. And so not only are first responders efficient, they're needed. And so hopefully, you understand that, first responders are very needed in life.